Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. The name's Society. Nintendo Cartridge Society. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I'm joined as I am always joined by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. How's it going?
It's going great, Patrick. That stellar cold opening it gave me a great idea, because you know that they are looking for a new James Bond.
Yeah.
And in the news, like today, they were just talking about, it's like a 10 to 15 year commitment.
Sure.
I have a great idea
For my next 15 years?
I think they should, just like Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen in Full House, they should double cast you and I as James Bond.
Yeah, I like
and we'll
this.
take turns.
What, so do we take turns in opposite movies, or is it the same movie, every other scene it just goes off, or just whatever scene we feel like filming?
I think whatever. I think it, because there's two of us, we'll just do whatever feels right. We'll both go to set,
Yeah, sure.
And sometimes you'll do it, sometimes I'll do it. It'll be fine. It's the magic of movies.
It is movie magic. Audiences can go along with a lot, right? People are used to weird stuff now. Your grandma knows about Infinity Stones, okay? She can deal with me and Mark both playing James Bond. It's okay. I've always thought that they should just get 3 James Bonds making movies right now. Just get 3 different actors playing James Bond, get each one making their own franchise, and as soon as one of them burns out, you just start releasing the next. Just have them, just crank them out.
Yeah, that is weird. Why be so precious about it? Why not just constantly be making?
Because he's so
James
replaceable.
Bond movies. Yeah.
I mean, here's the task that we are setting ourselves with today. Or no, we'll talk about it when we get into this section. Right now, you should know about the Sonic Forces borrowing program, where you can borrow my copy of Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch. All you gotta do is email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com. Give us a mailing address so we can send you my copy of Sonic Forces. You play it for as long as you want. There might be a copy of Untitled Goose Game in there. You can play that for as long as you want. And then you send it back. I pay for postage both ways. It's a perfect borrowing program.
Here's another thing that could be perfect. That's your 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
5 stars is perfect.
Spotify, or anywhere that you get your podcasts. We appreciate it so much when you do. It helps people find the show, so they can hear Patrick's amazing Sean Connery impression.
I don't like how much you're complimenting it.
No,
It makes me think it's not good.
It sounds sarcastic, but I really, really loved it.
Right.
And if you loved it, you can share it with your friends. Have them leave a 5-star review.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay, we got there eventually. Yeah. If you or your friends leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts in the U.S. Apple Podcast Store, we can see it, and we will give you a shout out on the show. But if you leave us a review anywhere else, we can't see it. We refuse to see it, but we still want to acknowledge it. So send us an email, let us know on Twitter, and we'll give you a shout out on the show.
Also, while you're doing that, you should send us an email or hit us up on Twitter. Let us know that you would like to be part of our Discord, and we will send you an invitation where you can get in there. You can talk about cool stuff with cool people. A chill crowd of funny and interesting people talking about Nintendo. That's what our Discord is. Doesn't that sound great? Doesn't that sound like exactly what you want to do? Get in there. The more, the merrier. Mark, we've got a fun, dumb thing that we're doing. Let's just get into it. Let's give James Bond subtitles to Nintendo games. And the reason we're doing this is because Goldeneye 007. It's back, or it will be back at some point in the next sometime this year, right? We think sometime this year. Sometime soon from the Nintendo Direct, we learned that the Nintendo 64 GoldenEye is coming back to the Nintendo 64 Switch Online. And so we've got James Bond a little bit on the brain. I think it's a fun time to talk and think about James Bond. So we're going to randomly select some movies and we are going to determine what Nintendo game that title would be an effective subtitle to.
Right.
But before we start doing that, I want to just talk about Goldeneye, the game that is put us in this position where we are talking about James Bond, thinking about James Bond, and especially in terms of a video game. So, Mark, what is your experience with Goldeneye?
GoldenEye is probably or has to be like the first person shooter that I ever played, which is I guess it is a first person shooter, but it's such an insane thing to call it.
I mean, it's not that weird to call it that, but it does. It's just a weird twist of intellectual property and of history that like that's the genre that this game took. Like, why? What about James Bond makes you think first person shooter?
I don't know.
Is there anything?
Yeah, and how did it end up being like a Nintendo first party game?
Yeah, I mean, truly perplexing. And I think part of that is probably just look. There are two companies here that are involved that make the strangest decisions in the world. One of them is Nintendo, and the other is the Aeon company, the Broccoli family, who like runs James Bond's rights. And they both just make weird decisions, and we're going to talk about some of those weird decisions, especially when it comes to video games later in this episode. But like, I think it was just two weirdos happened to be on the same wavelength at the right time.
I also think that GoldenEye, and I was, like we were both kids when GoldenEye came out, but it was a big deal because it was
the movie or the game.
The movie. I mean, both ended up being a big deal, but the movie was a big deal because kind of like they did with Daniel Craig, it was them like relaunching the James Bond franchise after it had hit a little bit of a lull. And so,
not just a little bit of a lull. There's a big gap between License to Kill and GoldenEye. It's one of the bigger gaps in the franchise history. I think actually outdone by the gaps between Craig's fourth and fifth movies.
Oh wow!
But still, like it's there's just a big gap there, and excepting George Lazenby, Timothy Dalton only has such a short run as Bond, the second shortest, only 2 movies. So there, I think, was probably a little bit of a sentiment of like James Bond is over, and then like here comes Pierce Brosnan with GoldenEye, the movie's a hit, and then this game is somehow an even bigger hit.
I never. What was your experience? Like, I never played. I have not. We talked about this before. I have not beaten the single player. I have like dabbled with it, but never played the entire campaign because it really was for me a multiplayer game that I played sleepovers or like friends' houses.
A perfect sleepover game, yeah, for sure. Where like somehow you had 4 Nintendo 64 controllers and were just like crowded around a TV that probably comically small, looking back on it, and just playing around in those maps. Like, that was I was probably playing Duke Nukem 3D before I was playing GoldenEye, but I was playing that on computers. But yeah, I wasn't a big first-person shooter guy. Still, I'm not a big first-person shooter guy. But yeah, I played the heck out of the multiplayer mode and just loved the there's so many characters that you can choose from in the game, and so many like special weapons and all this kind of stuff that I didn't, while playing it as a kid, didn't recognize as references to like other stuff throughout James Bond history. Odd Job. Odd Job is from Goldfinger, right? And like there's a golden gun. Man with a golden gun is both of these things. Jaws is in the game, and none of that is from GoldenEye. But it's just kind of cool that they like peppered in all of these like franchise Easter eggs into this thing, and I had no idea that that's what they were.
Yeah, I have no idea how I spent so much time playing this game because I remember just like my friend and I just playing 2-player multiplayer, and it's not that like I am so curious what it'll be like when it releases on the Nintendo 64, Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah.
Because
it's gonna be a mess.
I kind of
because the controls are the controls are bad. The presentation is like, I mean, it's the presentation is good, but the technology behind it is bad.
I
So like
think
it runs at a very few frames per second.
I'm hoping, because it was, like not all that often that I was able to play with 4
Yeah.
people, and
Yeah.
I think with 4 people it could be the right amount of chaos.
Yeah.
But with 2 people, it was not like particularly fun.
I can't imagine it really would be, because it's just you versus your friend.
Uh-huh.
And did your friend own the game?
Yeah.
So you just got destroyed over and over again.
That was a regular occurrence with video games, though.
But like, this game had like the proximity mines, and that was all very cool to like set those up. I don't know, it felt like it was really inventive with like the way it made you play. The levels are good, the facility, great level. I think about it anytime I play any kind of multiplayer game now. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I also never owned this game, so I never beat the single player campaign either. Something I would like to try when it comes out on the Nintendo 64, Nintendo Switch Online, especially because now I do have the sort of like greater James Bond appreciation. At the beginning of the pandemic, my buddy Drew and I went through and watched each of the James Bond movies. One a day. We did this for a month and a half, because there are so many James Bond movies. But yeah, so now I feel like I know, I get it. Many of the James Bond movies are bad. Many of them are boring. But there's just, I don't know. What is your relationship to like the film franchise?
So I knew the I'm sure I saw Goldeneye on video, but Tomorrow Never Dies is the first James Bond movie that I saw in theaters, and I think I've seen every James Bond movie since then in theaters. And I maybe like 10 or 12 years ago, a friend and I tried to do a similar thing when we were renting discs from Netflix and to watch every James Bond movie, and I think we got right around like Moonraker and then fell off. So
you were pretty close then.
So
yeah, there's only 2 more Roger Moore movies, and then the Daltons, and then Goldeneye, which you've seen.
Yeah. So I couldn't take the Roger Moore movies after a certain point. It was a lot.
There's a lot of them. There's so many Roger Moore movies, and they've got this like in the first, I think it's the first 2 of them. There's this like Louisiana sheriff character.
Gosh, yeah.
And like in the first movie, they're in the bayou, and like that's fine. This is Live and Let Die. And then in the movie after that, Man with the Golden Gun, he's in like Thailand or something. He's on vacation, and it's just like the same. It's awful. Like it's really really bad stuff.
But I've never had like a deep love for the franchise. Like James Bond never really like spoke to me in any way. How about you?
Well, I dislike most of these movies, but there is something about like the overall like aesthetic of it, or just like the like ethos of James Bond, that I do find compelling. Especially watching the Connery movies, that they're watching them now, they feel like period pieces, like they're 60s movies. But like they're just movies made in the 60s, right? Like they were contemporary modern movies at the time, and it's just like, I don't know. It's like watching an episode of Mad Men where you're just like, wow, look at that typewriter. And
I remember really liking Dr. No, because the not that the stakes are low, but that the everything's grounded.
Yeah.
Comparatively,
Yes.
like James Bond is putting hair over a door frame, so
Yes,
that way
totally.
he can tell if somebody like came into his room. It's so less cartoonish.
From Russia
than,
with Love is like that too, and it's really like at Goldfinger that it like kind of trips into the sort of like campy James Bond, and then as soon as Roger Moore shows up, then it's like, forget it, this is just a straight up comedy.
I do have to say, when you and I went and saw Never Say Never Again, that was one of
No Time to Die.
Oh, No Time to Die.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have Never Say Never Again.
Oh, that's right.
On the
That's
bottom
right,
of
that's
our
right.
list, which I'll explain in a minute. But go ahead.
But you're right. No Time to Die. That was such a amazing experience, because I had seen I can't remember. I had seen maybe like 1 or 2, like Shrek 4, when we went to see that in a theater that
That's
our
right.
friend had rented. But like post pandemic, I had not seen that many movies, or post reopening, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And No Time to Die was just like, man, like movies are awesome. Like watching that in theaters, it was
Yeah,
just like,
felt
oh, this is
so
amazing.
good.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that movie was another example of like nice callbacks and shout outs to like previous entries in the franchise. Mark, you mentioned Never Say Never Again. I whenever I get a chance here, I'm gonna just like inject some like little James Bond weirdery. Never Say Never Again is a movie not made by the Aeon Company. It is made by a different company that had the rights to the book that Thunderball was based on. So theoretically, this is a remake of Thunderball with Sean Connery back in the mix, and this is during the Roger Moore era. So like Roger Moore had like 2 more movies he was gonna make, and they just like sort of remade Thunderball, but like not really, and put it out. And he's like calling himself James Bond. It's kind of mind blowing that this movie came out
That's
and
so
was
weird.
allowed to exist, and that they got the original actor that like everyone loved and was missing during the Roger Moore era.
And isn't there like a Casino Royale made with like Peter Sellers
That's
or something?
right. Yes. There's another Casino Royale that predates all the rest of these movies. I only have Casino Royale on our list of titles once because I figure, why put it on there twice. But Mark, I think that the table is now appropriately set. We've got 26 movie titles here that we're going to pick one, and then we are going to determine what Nintendo game it would be the perfect subtitle for. I can do a random number generator.
Yeah, I have one up right now.
Oh yeah, 1 through 26, please.
All right, our number is 11.
11. Mark, this one's just for you. Then it's Moonraker.
Moonraker. Okay. My mind immediately goes to The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask.
Oh, that's very good. My mind immediately went to Mario Galaxy.
Oh yeah, or even Super Mario Odyssey,
because he goes to the moon.
Uh-huh.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing that I want to be careful about with Odyssey. I think Mario Odyssey could be like any of these, right?
There's so many kingdoms. I think you're
Yeah.
right that we could definitely map it back if needed. So that's what we
If
keep in
if
our
needed,
pocket.
right.
I
That,
think.
that one we're keeping it in the pocket for when we're like, geez, I just don't know what to do with this one. Okay. So Moonraker. Do we want to talk at all about like what Moonraker is in the context of James Bond?
Sure.
So it's like a space station / like a weapon that James Bond has to like go up there and destroy. And Jaws, Jaws is in this movie, and he's in
Is this
like
one where he has a girlfriend?
this is the one where he has a girlfriend,
Okay.
and she's very small and he's very big, and they escape in like a little like pod from Moonraker, which then crashes. Not even in the ocean, just like crashes, and they both just walk away from it. It's incredible.
I guess one thing about Moonraker as a movie
Yeah.
is that it does have these sci-fi elements. It does go to the
Mhm.
moon, and it is a little bit of what's the company Aeon,
Yeah.
like responding to the
To Star
popularity of
Wars,
Star
yeah.
Wars. So I don't know if that affects our choice any, and we're like, oh, Star Fox. Is
yeah,
this
Star Fox. I think
is
it's Star Fox.
like the right answer for this?
I mean, let me tell you this: if there was a Star Fox : Moonraker, I would absolutely want to play that game. Right?
yeah.
They take down, they take down like a space station. That's like a super weapon.
Uh huh.
Like, yeah, that's I want that.
Yeah. But is it a good subtitle for any of the existing Star Fox games?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Let's revisit Majora's Mask because that one like immediately feels right. The moon is something of a super weapon, right? It comes crashing to Earth.
Yeah, that is true.
Who is the Jaws of Majora's Mask? Is it like that Goron? I think it's Majora's Mask. I think you nailed it. All right, so Majora's Mask is Moonraker. Now, in addition to the list of movie subtitles, we've got like little titles from different categories of James Bond things that I thought it would be fun to just like do some of these too. So the first category here is Ian Fleming short stories that never became movie titles. Now, should we read all these off so we know what we're dealing with?
Yeah, and it's a short list, so let's go ahead.
It's a short list. So the titles in question are The Hildebrand Rarity,
Oh boy.
Risico,
Okay.
007 in New York,
I love it.
and The Property of a Lady.
Okay. I got to look up if Risico is something.
Is it like a slur or something?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Thank you for looking, Mark.
It appears to be, and there is a Risico Insurance Services, so I feel like we're probably
good there.
we're probably safe. Yeah, I know. Yeah, okay.
But good point. If we end up rolling that one, I don't know how we. Well, anyway, here we go. 1 through 4. The answer is 4.
The Property of a Lady.
The Property of a Lady. Mark, I've got a good answer for this one.
Okay.
And it's Donkey Kong, because you spend the whole time collecting her purse, her umbrella, and the other thing, her hat. You're collecting the property of a lady.
That's so good. That's exactly what the subtitle for Donkey Kong should have been. Not Donkey Kong 3.
No.
Get out of here, Stanley.
No, Stanley, you're a bug man. We might find a spot for you here elsewhere. All right, that one's good. Let's go back to the main list, Mark. We will now roll between 1 and 25 because Moonraker has been eliminated. The roll that I'm getting here is 17, which is of course
Tomorrow Never Dies.
Ooh, Tomorrow Never Dies. Now,
can I tell you one of my favorite Bond themes?
Yeah.
Just
the music.
Yeah. I really like the song Tomorrow Never Dies. Sheryl Crow, I believe, is the singer of it.
Yeah, it's like kind of a pretty good. I think it's the best of the Pierce Brosnan ones.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't really like the movie Goldeneye.
I don't really either.
But Tomorrow Never Dies is fun. It's a title that is a typo title. That it was supposed to be Tomorrow Never Lies because tomorrow is the name of the newspaper in there. And someone typed Tomorrow Never Dies, and someone else acknowledged like that is more of a James Bond movie title, and so they changed it to Tomorrow Never Dies.
It's like Sifo-Dyas Insidious.
It's just like Sifo-Dyas. Yes, it's 100% like that. What Nintendo Tomorrow Never Dies?
Okay, I mean, we may have to go back, but is this Majora's Mask?
No. Oh no.
I think it might.
They might be. Okay, hold on though. Let's just like go through our. No, yeah, I think it absolutely.
I mean, okay,
is.
that's if we're and put a pin in that because I think
Yeah.
we might be leaning that direction. But that's if we just go off Tomorrow Never Dies, the title. If we want to get into like aspects of the movie, which I don't really know that we want to.
No,
you know,
well,
he's like a Steve Jobs-esque,
who's like gathering information on. I like Nintendo games don't usually get into stories that like sophisticated or modern, right? Like I don't know. It's kind of
right. Yeah.
I
outside of like Disaster Day of Crisis, I don't really,
Right. I think you're right. I think this is Majora's Mask, and we need to go back to Moonraker and make it something else.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we go back and make Moonraker Star Fox.
Okay. Purely, we're saying for the and probably just the first Star Fox game.
Yeah, and that it's like chasing a Star Wars aesthetic.
Yeah,
right. Like I think that's a big enough reason to make that work.
Plus, like you said, if the plot of a Star Fox game was having to go blow up this big space station, I mean that basically actually is the plot of
every Star
Fox game.
I want to see what Star Fox's version of Jaws is. Is he a shark? Is he just like an actual shark?
I think it's Slippy post-accident.
What?
Yeah.
Wait.
I think something terrible happened to Slippy. He becomes like a villain.
Uh-huh.
And then a game later, he becomes like a funny villain with a girlfriend.
Sure, okay. I don't know if I like the idea of Slippy having a girlfriend. All right, next we are now pulling from the John Gardner novels, which were released between 81 and 96. So interesting note here, Gardner was writing novels in that gap between the Timothy Dalton and the Pierce Brosnan Bond movies. movie series, and he did the novelization for License to Kill, which is the last Dalton movie, and for Goldeneye, the first Brosnan movie, and in between wrote 14 novels.
Wow, so he really is like the bridge.
He's
this is
the
like
bridge,
the
yeah.
James Bond like expanded universe.
It is. It's the JBEU. 14 novels. Do we want to read through them all, or
yeah,
just...
let's do it.
Okay,
Let's do it.
let's go back and forth.
Okay.
So first one is License Renewed,
For Special Services,
Icebreaker,
Roll of Honor,
Nobody Lives Forever,
No Deals, Mr. Bond,
Scorpius,
Win, Lose, or Die,
Broken Claw,
The Man from Barbarossa,
Death is Forever,
Never Send Flowers.
Seafire.
That one's pretty good. And Cold.
Wait, which one is pretty good? Seafire or
Seafire.
I think Never Send Flowers is also okay.
Yeah.
But some of these hilarious. Win, Lose, or Die. Come on.
James Bond goes backstage at the Disney MGM Studios where Alan Thicke is hosting Win, Lose, or Die.
I am generating a random number. It is 6, which means we are assigning No Deals, Mr. Bond.
All right.
Here's a rule that I generated in my head when I was putting this list together.
Uh-huh.
Any of these titles that have Bond or 007 in them are bad.
It's kind of hard not to read No Deals, Mr. Yeah, that's just not good. But I'll tell you something that I think is good is Rusty's Real Deal Baseball.
I mean, you're absolutely
which
right.
I think should be
That's right.
the subtitle for
Rusty's Real Deal Baseball.
No Deals, Mr. Bond.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
And because it's, of course, in Rusty's Real Deal Baseball, he's dealing all the time, if you woo him with donuts and all that kind of stuff. But he puts up this facade of being, I can't afford deals, Mr. Bond. I have children that I have to feed. But you know that you can wear him down.
And in fact, you almost like have to wear him down. Like they do a really good job of not letting you pay full price for these things.
Yes.
All right, that's perfect. I think we did great there. Mark, let's go back to the main list. Which one did we do last? I didn't remove it.
Tomorrow Never Dies. So number 7, I'll take that out there.
Okay, great. So now we're doing between 1 and 24, and the roll is number 18.
Die Another Day. Another
Die
one that
Another
could
Day.
be for Majora's Mask.
Look, they can't all be Majora's Mask. The Bond movie titles are macabre, right? Like they lean on death and kill and like all that kind of stuff.
And have a lot of like time stuff in there.
True. Time is an ever constant premise in these things. Die Another Day. Is there any like famous Nintendo Immortal that like Kirby?
All right, I'm pulling up our handy list of Nintendo franchises. Die Another Day.
Die Another Day. Die Another Day is the last of the Pierce Brosnan movies, and it is absolutely bonkers. Like, it is one of the craziest movies I've ever
Very
seen.
cartoony.
Very cartoony. There's like the son of a dictator who like gets plastic surgery to become like someone else.
Invisible cars.
Yeah, there's a scene where James Bond is driving a like battle car through a melting ice castle. So like it's just full on crazy.
Yeah.
So maybe in that regard, this should be a game that is equally. I feel like this is a Bayonetta game.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Where it's just like wall to wall action, so insane you can't possibly process anything that's going on. And Die Another Day is the most like that of all of these. And I feel like Bayonetta is the perfect like just chaos incarnate.
I love that. I think that's a great pick. I also just want to mention that Die Another Day has the theme song from Madonna, where she like
That's right.
speak raps through part of it.
Oh my gosh. So some of these songs are good, I promise. So Die Another Day is going to go with Bayonetta. And
that feels like a perfect subtitle for a Bayonetta game. Bayonetta, Die Another Day.
Yeah, totally. Because she's like dealing with angels or some. All right, Mark. Our next guest list here is going to be from the Raymond Benson series of novels. He did novelizations of all the rest of the Pierce Brosnan movies, and was just writing novels between 1996 and 2002. So we've got novels and short stories on this list.
Short stories.
Yeah, there are actually a lot of the Ian Fleming works were short stories as well. Quantum of Solace is the name of a short story, and it's like a quiet short story about him like going to a party. And the fact that it's stapled onto what that movie is doesn't make any sense at all. But there you have it. So Mark, you ready to read these
Yeah,
down?
let's do it.
Okay, so the first one is Blast from the Blast from the Past.
Not the Brendan Fraser?
Not the Brendan Fraser movie, no.
0 - 10.
The Facts of Death.
This is my personal favorite. Midsummer Night's Doom.
That's very good. High Time to Kill.
Live at 5.
Double Shot.
Never Dream of Dying.
And The Man with the Red Tattoo.
I like Never Dream of Dying. That's pretty good.
Never Dream of Dying is solid. The Man with the Red Tattoo, though, don't care for it. All right, so that's 9 that we're rolling?
Yes.
Mark? Okay. And the answer is 2.
0 - 10.
0 minus. Well, this is Brain Age.
It absolutely has to be Brain Age or yes.
Yeah, it's just Brain Age. Good old Brain Age, where it would just ask you little math questions and you started to feel smart, and then it told you that your brain was like 70.
Yes.
0 - 10. Brain Age, 0 - 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's perfect. When it's perfect, it's perfect.
When it's perfect, it's perfect, and you don't need to dig into it further. All right, Mark, we are now back to the original James Bond list.
So we have 23.
We have 23.
Uh-huh.
I am rolling now between 1 and 23, and I get 10.
Which is The Spy Who Loved Me.
Now, this song, the song from The Spy Who Loved Me, is okay. Radiohead does a cover of it that rips. It's so good. Everyone I recommend go seek out Radiohead's recording of The Spy Who Loved Me.
Who did the original?
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember. But okay, so who in Nintendo would be the spy who loved me?
Oh wait, is the song from this one Nobody Does It Better?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe that's it.
So that's Carly Simon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Radiohead
It doesn't matter.
The Radiohead version is great.
Yeah. Okay. So there's
Spy Who Loved Me. I have a hard time recalling the plot of this movie.
Yeah, have I seen this one? Is this one of the ones?
It would have been before Moonraker.
Okay, so maybe I have seen it.
I think it's the second. Hold on, wait a minute. Spy Who Loved Me. It's the third. It's the third Roger Moore movie.
Okay.
Here's where my mind goes immediately is to the Splatoon 2 Octo expansion. Because you're like an agent, you've got like a secret mission that you're going on. There's no romance in it, so maybe The Spy Who Loves Me kind of like falls off there.
But I like that. I like because you are definitely a secret agent. What about Metroid Other M and the relationship? And The Spy Who Loved Me talking about the relationship. Yes, yeah, and
okay.
Yeah, they're right. There is a mole.
Right.
I actually totally forgot about that because I was thinking about it would be a light mapping, but like the relationship between Adam Malkovich and Samus.
Sure, yeah. No, I like that.
Or the baby Metroid that loves
Samus. I mean, spy can mean so many things. It can mean commanding officer. It can mean rogue Metroid baby. It can mean
the mole.
Yeah, this is it. This is the answer. The answer is Metroid Other M.
I mean, I guess it could be spoilers. Metroid. Well, it's not really a mole or like a spy, but like Metroid Dread, where you have the fake Adam AI.
Ooh, that might even be better. That's it. Let's do it. Let's do Metroid Dread. I got it here, Mark.
Okay.
The Spy Who Loved Me. Perfect. Okay, that works so well. I love it. All right. Our next guest list here is just sort of various authors' novels from 2008 to the present day. So these are just a couple of different books, a couple different authors, and they're in like different continuities. Some of them are like throwback, like period pieces. Some are like modern day. But let's just go back and forth and read them. The first one is Devil May Care.
Carte Blanche,
Solo.
a James Bond story.
It's not the name of it.
Trigger Mortis.
I love Trigger Mortis. I think that's a perfect. It's a perfect James Bond title. Forever and a Day.
With a Mind to Kill.
And Double or Nothing, which just came out in August and is the first James Bond novel written by a woman. How about that? Okay. So
7.
Yeah, between 1 and 7. I will roll. And the answer is number 6.
With a Mind to Kill.
With a Mind to Kill.
Okay, so I've never played this before.
Great.
But what about Eternal Darkness?
Okay, what about it?
It's like a psychological horror game, right?
With a Mind to Kill. I mean, yeah, Eternal Darkness is definitely...
The subtitle currently
Yeah.
of Eternal Darkness is
Sanity's
Sanity's Requiem, but it could be a Mind to Kill, maybe.
I mean, honestly, that's not bad. You know what my first thought was? Which Donkey Kong Country game is it where King K. Rool is like a scientist?
The third one. It's the third one where he's like a mad scientist and building the Franken K. rules.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
So
okay, actually, yeah. Do you know what? Hit the road, Eternal Darkness. It is absolutely the.
Thanks for showing up, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's absolutely Donkey Kong Country 3,
the one, yeah,
with a Mind to Kill.
The one with Kiddy Kong.
The one with Kiddy Kong.
Yeah, sure.
He's in a Mind to Kill.
That is very good.
That's written by Anthony Horowitz, just so everyone has all the information they might need when reflecting on this later. Okay, Mark, we are now down to but 22 movie titles on our main list. I'm rolling it now. The title that we will be dealing with is number 16, The World Is Not Enough. I'm gonna give you my first sort of impression. Then we can, because I don't think it's right. But my first thought was Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Oh, okay.
That like they start like wanting to be like big at the school,
right.
But like that's not enough. The world is not enough. They need to conquer the entire continent of Foldland. Foldland, I think is right.
I like that a lot. Here's where my mind first went is like Wario.
Ooh.
Because he's so greedy.
Yes.
So I don't know if it's like a WarioWare game. Probably like a Wario Land game.
I think it's a Wario.
It feels
Land
like it could
game,
be like Wario Land 4. The World Is Not Enough.
I mean, it's almost. So the premise of Wario Land, Shake It, is that he is transported to the Shake dimension, and then he just like plunders an entire dimension. So like, and like he gets to a point where he rescues the like princess or like fairy queen or whatever,
right?
And throws her aside so he can get the sack of coins behind. Like it's a cartoon where he grabs her and just hurls her into oblivion so he can grab a sack and like shake it free. So I think it's Wario Land Shake It. The World Is Not Enough.
I think so. That's great.
That's Mark. That's so much better than Fire Emblem Three Houses.
I think either would have worked.
Good,
yeah.
But I think that's better. Our next from the guest list is the Young Bond novel series. These came out between 2005 and 2017, and they are written by either Charlie Higson or Stephen Cole, depending on which it is. So we've got 10 here. One of them is a short story. Mark, we're gonna go back and forth. Silverfin.
Blood Fever.
Double or Die.
Hurricane Gold.
By Royal Command.
A Hard Man to Kill.
Shoot to Kill.
Heads You Die.
Heads You Die is very funny. Strike Lightning.
And Red Nemesis.
All right. Okay, here we go. We are now going to roll between 1 and 10.
Do you think in these Young Bond novels, he's like because I think of like the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, so you know, the Indiana Jones in that series is like 13, 14, you know?
Yeah. Oh, are you saying like, is he like 20?
Well, yeah. Is it like young as in he's a young agent? Because if you're 13-year-old James Bond.
Yeah.
Are you a hard man to
what
kill?
are you doing?
Are you
Yeah.
shooting to kill?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you would be a hard man to kill. But young Indiana Jones was hard to kill. We saw that in the beginning of Last Crusade.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I'm just, like, James Bond is so, like, suave.
Yeah.
And I'm just imagining, like, pimpled face 13-year-old, James Bond.
My name is Bond.
Exactly.
I'd like an Ecto Cooler, please.
Exactly.
He's got to be a kid because Casino Royale is like canonically the story of him like becoming like getting agent status.
Yes.
So
maybe he's like a boarding. Well, I could look it up. I could inform
Right.
myself, but I refuse to.
I mean, this when making up this list, the young Bond novels, that was the first time where I was like, do I want to read some of these? Like, would that be fun? I have rolled number 3, which is Double or Die.
Okay.
I was really hoping we were going to get Red Nemesis because I think it's got to be a Luigi's Mansion. Double or Die.
Okay.
Could still be a Luigi's Mansion. Could be Luigi's Mansion 3 with Guigi, right?
Oh, sure.
Or like Mario and Luigi Partners in Time.
Oh, yeah. I like this like co-op. I like the co-op angle.
Yeah, that the co-op is like a copy of the character. Is there something more? So I think between the two of those, no, which one is better? Luigi's Mansion 3 or Partners in Time?
Well, let me throw this out.
Yeah.
I don't know that it fits, but what about Snipper Clips?
Snipper Clips is pretty good.
Well, I guess Snipper Clips, you're not really doubling anything.
No, in fact, you would have to have two of you.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
not only that, but like the game itself is about like taking elements away.
Bits away. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, all right. So not Snipper Clips, but something else like in the co-op vein, or where like you're creating multiples of yourself.
Yeah. Is it like one of the oh, what is that series where it's almost like Lemmings but with wind up like Mario toys?
Yeah, March of the Minis. Yeah.
Or is it Kirby Squeak Squad?
I don't remember what Squeak Squad is about.
I just like saying it.
Double or Die.
Okay.
What do you think because that's got to be a reference to something, right?
Yeah.
Like it feels like Win, Lose, or Die to me, right?
I feel like it's like double or nothing, right?
Sure.
But double or die, so the gambling in some form.
So
cards.
Maybe it's just, the collection of mini games that came with both Super Mario 64 DS and New Super Mario Brothers DS. Remember those? Where it's like there's like a little toad like blackjack dealer who kind of like waddles in and then you played blackjack with him, and then there's like you got to find the right faces. If it's a gambling thing, or clubhouse games,
double or die.
like the violent version of clubhouse
really,
games.
yeah, really threatening. What about I was gonna say Pocket Card Jockey, but I don't think that's
No,
right.
I don't think that's right either. That's a different kind of cards.
Double or die.
Double or Die.
What if it's We Fit 2? Is there just like a is there just like a direct sequel that we can
I mean, I think they just like Wii Fit Plus.
Oh, Wii Fit Plus.
What about this? What about this? The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds.
Yes.
Because I'm not going to spoil Link Between Worlds here, but there is a prominent double who you deal with the entire game.
That is so good.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
that's 100% it.
That's it. It's The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds: Double or Die. All right, Mark, we now have 21 titles on our main list. I am generating the number now. The number is number 12, A View to a Kill. This is a bad movie.
I like the theme song, though.
Yeah, the theme song is good. This is one of the late Roger Moore ones. Or it's the last Roger Moore one. View to a Kill. Is this Pokemon Snap? I'm just trying to what Nintendo games are you like trying to get a view of something or like trying to see something?
Yeah, Duck Hunt.
Yeah, that is a view to a kill for sure. It's a view to many kills. You're killing many ducks.
Hi. So, Duck Hunt, Link's crossbow training.
Why is that about getting a view?
Well, because you're like aiming.
Oh, okay. All
That
right.
yeah.
What like Fatal Frame?
Splatoon. Oh, Fatal Frame. Not necessarily. Nintendo funded a couple of the
And they're part of
the
the development
series.
team, right?
I don't know. They might be. They might have been.
I think
But
they
yeah, I
were.
like Fatal Frame. I feel like that's perfect.
Yeah.
A view to a kill.
Yeah, because then we get both the view part of it and we get the kill.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. Fatal Frame, a view to a kill. Mark, I'm bringing up my. Oh, this is the last of our guest lists.
Oh, no.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to say this is the last time we will talk through a weird list of James Bond subtitles you've never heard before. But this time, it's Bond video games. And these are only video games that don't reuse the titles of movies. There's obviously Goldeneye is a super famous example, of course. But there are a couple other games like that. But here are 8 Bond video games that do not use movie titles. Mark, you can go first.
Shaken but Not Stirred from 1982.
From 1980, it's a text adventure.
Oh, wow. Ooh, that actually, I'm intrigued by that. A text adventure like James Bond game? Yeah.
Okay. Operation Stealth / The Stealth Affair. The reason it has 2 titles is from 1990. This is a game that, as it was released worldwide, is Operation Stealth, but in the States they got the rights to James Bond, and so it's James Bond : The Stealth Affair.
Oh.
This looks like a real crappy game. Another just like instance of like 2 weirdo companies being in like the same space talking to each other at the same time and worked it out. So The Stealth Affair is what the title would be.
The Duel
from 1993. 007 Racing.
This is a real thing?
This is a real thing,
Oh,
yeah.
man.
From 2000.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't draw that one. That one might be a little bit tough. Agent Under Fire.
From 2001. I actually played this game. I really liked Agent Under Fire. Then Nightfire from 2002.
And then Goldeneye Rogue Agent from 2004.
And Bloodstone from 2010. Bloodstone does not sound like a James Bond title at all.
No. Nightfire, I remember my family owned it for the GameCube. Yeah. It was in the era where EA was making the James Bond games.
Yeah, that's right. And I believe Goldeneye Rogue Agent is somehow like a sequel or prequel to it or something like that. I'm not entirely sure what the how that all shakes out. But wait a minute. I accidentally did 1 through 10. Wait, how many are there?
8.
There's 8. Okay, here we go. Number 1. So we are doing Shaken but Not Stirred.
Okay.
How do you feel about this title, Shaken but Not Stirred?
It's a little too. I don't think it's terrible,
right?
But it's a little too on the nose, referencey to James Bond.
Can I tell you what bums me out about it? Is that it's the less elegant version of what he actually says,
right?
Which is just shaken, not stirred. And I mean, it must refer to like James Bond's mental state, right?
Yeah,
that he's shaken but not stirred. I don't even know what that means psychologically speaking. Also, did you know that Bond ordering his drink shaken, not stirred, is supposed to be like a way of grounding him? As like it's I've always read it as like a fussy thing, that he's like fussy about how his drink is made. But to have a drink shaken and not like gently stirred is the more like, you know,
bourgeois.
No, well, the opposite. It's the more proletariat way.
Oh, got it. It's of the people.
It's the working man's drink.
I see.
Is shaken and not stirred.
Oh, that is interesting.
Because like
so he's a little like rough around the edges.
He's rough around the. He's wearing the tux. He's at a fancy party, but he's drinking like a dude with a 9 to 5, right? He works on the docks or whatever. I don't know. It should be a ring of beer, but fine. But yeah, so that's what that is meant to convey.
Interesting.
And
yeah, I did not. Yeah, I did not realize that.
What Nintendo game is shaken but not stirred? Was there any like GBA game or something like that you? Oh well, we already did Wario Land Shake It. But like a game where you interacted with it by shaking something.
Yes, by like, or I don't know if you shook things, but you like tilted it.
Yeah, there's like the Kirby Tilt and Tumble. Kirby Tilt and Tumble, shaken, not stirred. Shaken but not stirred.
Not bad.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Shaken but not stirred.
And again, I don't know what it would mean for like a psychological state of someone
Right.
who's like upset, but not. I don't know what, but not.
Yeah,
stirred.
maybe
I
it's
don't know
supposed
what
to
it
be
means.
like it's like upset, like shell shocked,
Mhm.
but like still doesn't show it. Still, like
Isn't moved to action because of it.
Yeah,
Okay, so is there a? So it can't be a Luigi's Mansion game because he's
shaken.
and stirred. He is both.
Well, maybe it's our good friend Mario.
Okay.
Because
Always puts on a brave face.
He gets in scrapes
Yeah.
for sure, tough situations.
Yeah.
But he is not one to run away from danger. He runs head on into it.
That's right, and he sort of enjoys it. Shaken but not stirred. Okay, so what is like the biggest challenge that Mario has to face? Like what? Shaken.
Well, the reason I was gonna say okay, hold on. I was gonna say the Wii version because you have like the shaking that you have to do
new
when you
Super
bubble
Mario
and
Brothers,
new Super
Wii.
Mario Brothers Wii. But then I'm like, well, maybe it should be Donkey Kong Country Returns, where shaking is actually like part of the control scheme
to its detriment.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty good call. Donkey Kong Country Returns is pretty good. I have one more pitch here.
Yeah.
What if it's Super Mario Sunshine? Because the game starts with Mario being arrested and thrown in jail.
Kangaroo Court.
Kangaroo Court. It's a farce, and like he's just got to put up with it. And they're gonna welcome him as a hero, just a couple hours later. But that would be a scary experience, and it doesn't really seem to have any ill effect on Mario.
No, it's true. And I think that's such because Mario, we just have to face facts. At some point, Mario's probably numb to Princess Peach being kidnapped.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it doesn't
it's a matter
have,
of course.
It doesn't have like the emotional terror that it would initially. But Sunshine being falsely accused, I mean, that's a nightmare.
Yeah, and I mean that's like a knock against his reputation. What Mario has a sterling reputation, and then suddenly these guys are like, you did something bad. What is he? Why did they arrest him?
Because he
made a mess.
I think it's because like because of the mess, the like shine that is over Isle Delfino is gone.
Sure. Okay. So they think he stole it, or that he just made the mess.
I think he just made the mess because
the evidence isn't very clearly laid out. It's the jury is packed against him.
It's not even a jury; it's a judge.
No,
who just rules from the bench.
Is he wearing like a big powdered wig?
He is.
Okay, good.
Yes, he is.
So what did you say just before I said Sunshine? Because I think that was good too.
No, I think Sunshine is better.
Okay.
I can't remember what I said.
Oh, you said New Super Mario Brothers Wii.
Oh yeah, but that's like control scheme related, and not like
but
content.
You said Donkey Kong.
I said Donkey Kong Country Returns, but that's like if you're looking at it from like a meta standpoint, where it's like, okay, I am shaking as a player. I'm shaking because that's what the control scheme asks of me. But I am not emotionally stirred. This does not bring me joy, right?
Yeah.
So that's like a very meta way of looking at it.
Right.
Whereas I think if we look at the content of the game, Super Mario Sunshine,
that Mario is in fact shaken but not stirred.
Yes.
I like this especially because I went into this title being like, I don't think it makes sense. And then we made it make sense and then found an example of it in Nintendo. So I think, hats off to us. We're doing a great job here, Mark.
Super Mario Sunshine, shaken, not stirred. But not stirred.
Shaken, but not stirred.
So good.
Okay, great. Now we're going to go back to the main movie list. Sorry, just checking on time here. Okay, great. We're doing good. Let's do maybe like 2 or 3 more of these. So now we're going between 1 and 20. We are rolling number 16.
Quantum of Solace, which really could mean anything.
It could mean anything. In the context of the movie, Quantum is the evil organization, right? The evil organization of like companies, and like the main villain is like a regular guy who looks totally normal and like isn't weird at all. Like that's what's supposed to be scary about him. In the original short story, Quantum of Solace is him like finding a moment of peace,
which makes sense, right? Because like, yeah, I actually like that. Now that you've told me that the short story is about him having like a moment of like quiet.
Right.
Ooh, that sounds like really interesting. Yeah, like a finite, tiny like amount.
Right, that just like between horrible murders and like spycraft, he gets a moment of peace.
Yeah, that's so good.
So Quantum of Solace.
So are there? I guess the problem is that any video game doesn't take place in a Quantum of Solace because
you want to be having fun.
because there has to be like action.
But if there is a video game company that is willing to embrace the slower speed, the sort of connecting with like nature, I'm think there are two franchises that come to mind here for me. It's Pikmin and Animal Crossing.
Yeah, and I lean towards, because Pikmin, I feel like the stories are generally about urgency.
Yeah,
right.
There's like some survival.
But I love that idea of like Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing : Quantum of Solace. Maybe the craziest thing we've ever said.
And yet would work perfectly instead of New Horizons.
Yeah,
you wouldn't have to change
true.
a thing. You
That's
wouldn't have
true.
to change a thing.
It's exactly the same. So Animal Crossing: Quantum of Solace. Do you think that changes anything about like the gameplay, or is it just exactly the same?
I really don't think it does.
Yeah.
Because there's no real like ticking clock on Animal Crossing. Like, yes, you have to pay, you can pay off your debts. You don't even have to.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's all about like how you want to progress in the game.
Yeah, no, I think that's perfect. All right, Mark, we now have 19 titles left. We're not going to do them all, but here's the next one between 1 and 19. Number 5.
You only live twice.
Oh, boy. You only live twice. All right. There's no Nintendo game that I can think of where you only get 2 lives.
No, the Ghost and Goblins is not a Nintendo game, Capcom franchise,
Yeah,
but
great point.
that's what I thought of.
You take 2 hits.
That's what I thought of first off the bat. Although, if you're talking about like 2 hits,
I mean, Mario.
The original Super Mario Brothers,
He's
you
a
have
standard 2-hitter, yeah.
If you have like a super mushroom, if you have or even a like a fire flower or something like that, it still just takes 2 hits to kill you.
Here's the problem. We're talking about you only die twice, right?
Oh yeah,
right.
Yep.
So I think we need to really dig into something where you have 2 lives.
Mm-hmm.
And my first thought here is Famicom Detective Club. Either because you were do you have amnesia or something?
You do have amnesia in the first the missing air, yeah.
That's right. So that, right? And then you have this like second life as a detective. Or The Girl Who Stands Behind, that like there's this corpse buried in the school, right? And that like she still has this effect on people even after her single life has ended.
Yeah.
So I think like for either of these,
oh, that's so good. I love this. Yeah.
So
it makes it kind of like, especially like The Girl Who Stands Behind, like it makes it a little bit like macabre.
Yeah. Well, and that you only live twice is a little bit more macabre that way.
Yeah. Like it makes both sound very macabre. I like that a lot. So Famicom Detective Club.
Yeah.
You only live twice.
You only live twice. I like that a lot. I felt a little bad right now just sort of spoiling The Girl Who Stands Behind, but also like just play those games. They're super fun. All right, Mark, let's do one more of these.
Okay.
How many titles do we have now? We've got 18.
18,
okay,
yes.
Great. Our final James Bond title that we are going to be giving to a Nintendo game is number 8.
The Man with the Golden Gun.
Wow. This movie is rough, by the way.
Yes.
Even though the villain is played by Christopher Lee, and he's very good in it, like he's very big and arch and like crazy.
I can't remember why, or is it just on his lair? He has this weird like funhouse type thing.
He's got his lair is like a funhouse.
Okay,
it's on like an island.
Right.
And that part's actually kind of fun, but like the movie leading up to it, the like hour and a half before they get to that lair, is bad and stupid. Who is the man with the golden gun?
So few Nintendo franchises
have guns.
Deal with like firearms.
So Donkey Kong 64, Donkey Kong famously has a coconut gun. fires in spurts.
That's right.
If he shoots you,
Is
it's gonna
Donkey
hurt.
Kong the titular man with the golden gun?
Oh boy, is Donkey Kong or Diddy Kong? Because he's. Oh, I guess those are peanut guns. None of them shoot bananas, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, is Donkey Kong the man with the golden gun? Huh.
Okay. Let's see. Splatoon has weapons in it,
Right.
but not really.
I would also never call any of the characters in Splatoon men.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
Just none of them. Everyone is a child.
No, 100%. I mean, again, going back to Duck Hunt.
Yeah. You think you know how Queen Elizabeth had that golden Wii?
Yes.
Do you think she ever had a golden
Zapper?
NES zapper? Yeah, no, Duck Hunt's not bad because then you would be the man with the golden gun.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it's like Times Person of the Year 2004 or 2005 or
Just a
whatever.
reflective surface,
It's
and it
just
says
like
you.
you are the man with the golden gun.
Mark, that's good. Let's use it. Let's use Duck Hunt colon the man with the golden gun. I'm having a good time, so I want to do one more of these.
Okay.
Mark. One more. Okay. So this will be 17. Here we go. We are rolling number 17 itself, which means
Never say never again.
never say never again. Never say never again.
Okay, well, famously, right, the way this title came about
Right.
is because Sean Connery, had said, I'm not doing any more James Bond movies, had moved on.
Right.
And then when he agreed to do this one, his wife at the time was like, you should never say never again, or something like that.
Yeah.
Isn't that how the title came
Oh,
to be?
I don't know the wife part of it, but that's definitely true. Is that like he had said he was never going to play James Bond again, and then he did. And this is actually the second time he comes back because he does a movie after On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
That's right.
After George Lazenby is just unceremoniously dismissed. Also, sorry, this is a little tangent, and I just mentioned Queen Elizabeth. If they were to make a James Bond movie now, he would no longer, for the first time ever, be on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy.
So here's what they should do. They should make On His Majesty's Secret Service and just make it a one-off.
Yes.
Just test a new James Bond with no expectation of making sequels with him.
Yeah.
Just do that. Who's this generation's Diana Rigg? Because she needs to play the Bond girl. It's probably like Anya Taylor-Joy or Joy Taylor, whatever her name is. It's probably the same.
You mean the voice of Princess Peach in the Mario animated movie?
Oh no, that means that James Bond will be played by Chris Pratt.
Okay, never say never again.
Okay, so were you driving at something as you were saying where the title came from? Because it made me think of something.
No, I wasn't. The one thing I was thinking of was like Nintendogs. Like you are, like your dog, your Nintendo
The dog.
did
Never
something
say
bad.
never again.
Yeah.
In this case, saying never is peeing on the carpet. No, I think about someone who is said that this is the last game they're going to work on for a long time, and then just keeps putting out like absolute bangers, and is, we all acknowledge now, the only person who could possibly shepherd the Super Smash Brothers series.
Oh yeah,
Masahiro Sakurai. He is our Sean Connery.
yes,
And so Never Say Never Again has to be Super Smash Brothers Ultimate Never Say Never Again.
absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Do you remember what was it? Was it the Wii version that he was in the audience of Nintendo's E3 presentation and Iwata
Yes.
like announces the next Super Smash Brothers and then
Yes.
afterwards is like, "Hey,
Hey,
will you
so-
do this?"
Never Say Never Again, man.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, this is wonderful. Let's close this out. Before we go, let's recap all of the fun titles that we came up with here. We'll go back and forth. Star Fox, Moonraker.
Donkey Kong, I forgot about this one. The Property of a Lady.
The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, Tomorrow Never Dies.
Rusty's Real Deal Baseball. No deals, Mr. Bond.
Bayonetta, die another day.
Brain Age 0 minus 10.
Metroid Dread, the spy who loved me.
Donkey Kong Country 3 with a mind to kill.
Because King K. Rool is a mad scientist in that
That's
one.
right.
Wario Land Shake It, the world is not enough.
Link Between Worlds, Double or Die.
Fatal Frame of You to a Kill.
Super Mario Sunshine, shaken but not stirred.
Animal Crossing, Quantum of Solace.
Famicom Detective Club, You Only Live Twice.
Duck Hunt, the man with the golden gun.
Bang! And Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, Never Say Never Again.
Mark, that was perfect. Thank you so much for to you, listener, for listening to this. We had a good time. I hope you did too. Hope you did too. I'm coughing right now. I'm sorry. Please remember to rate, review, and follow us on Apple Podcasts. If you enjoyed the episode, please share it on Facebook or Twitter, wherever you share stuff. If you're in like a James Bond fan club group where people will tolerate Nintendo stuff, share it there. They'll get a kick out of it. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at Nincart Society. We also have a Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.